Yes, we are live. Hi, Facebook.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today we're talking about 2019 housing trends. We're talking about homeowners and sellers this week. So this will be part 2 of the conversation. Last week we were talking about buyers. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, by the way, stick around for the after show. Anything we don't get to today or during the show, we'll cover after we finish up. If you have any questions for us, type those in on the comments, and we'll try to get to those during the show or the after show if we run long. All right, here we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. You can also check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools. Check out our publications page as well for some other great resources, such as the Bricks Report or the Smart Home Buyer Guide, all free. Again, that's at brickstwincities.com. Follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in Bricks Real Estate. There you can see upcoming events, new listings, and watch us record live most Tuesdays around the noon hour. So today we are going to continue our conversation with U.S. housing trends, talking about home ownership and sellers today. Last week we had discussed the buying trends out there, and there's some pretty interesting and or funny stats that are there. Adam, you pointed out some good ones about like what people are willing to do, why they might want to move. So first, I kind of want to cover the homeowner side of things. So the first stat that I kind of noticed was who are the homeowners out there right now. And so we have 17% are millennials, 27% are Gen X, and 45% are baby boomers out there. So still the baby boomers are the biggest portion of homeowners out there. And, we were talking last week about, the older generations staying in their homes longer and longer. And one stat that really I thought was very interesting is that I think it was the average time that somebody is spending in a home right now is 14 years.
Yeah, median
right?
number of years, 14.
Right. And now remember, this is nationally, and we've talked in the past about, 6, 7, 8, moving towards 10. So, and that's locally in the Twin Cities. So the national is now upwards of 14 years. And I think this is partially because people are maybe not doing the sell the home and buy the RV or renting a condo down in Florida or whatever. They're staying in the marketplace. So, 14 years out there. And we'll get to another interesting stat on that.
Well, I think the fact that we have such a high percentage, it looks like 45% in that baby boomer generation, 55 to 74, is
Yes.
playing into that.
Right.
We do see that the older generations are moving less, and that's probably skewing things a bit. Also, I think that 14-year trend, which is definitely up from where it used to be, is in part due to the Great Recession and the reaction to the Great Recession. A lot of these people, a lot of the boomers,
Build equity move.
yeah,
build equity move.
their
Yeah.
equity was, or their wealth was tied up in their home, and they were definitely building equity, moving, and suddenly they couldn't,
Right.
and so they got stuck there. And it's really only been the last handful of years where the message started getting out, where it's like, you're probably okay. You're probably not underwater anymore.
Right.
So a lot of these people for a number of years thought they couldn't move. Well, now they can move, but where are they going to move to? You know, when the inventory is as low as it is.
Well, what about affordability too? You know, you look at some of these folks that are retired on a fixed income that want to downsize, but to move into a slab on grade type of property really isn't really cost efficient as much as it used to be.
Yeah, one thing that we're seeing that's a steady trend, and there's no difference between buyers, sellers, and people staying in their home, is the household income, median income, is the same across the board. Buyers $75,000 a year, sellers $75,000 a year, homeowners $75,000 a year.
That's an interesting stat.
And so you'd think, maybe for sellers it might be a little lower, a little higher, depending on but everything just kind of stable across the board on that. Some more homeowner trends. We have people living with children, 33%, living with parents, 7%. I think that's another thing coming from the Great Recession. People staying with family and having. It'd be really interesting to see like extended family beyond, because we have run across it pretty regularly. Somebody who's living with a niece or moving in with uncle or grandparent or whatever. Here's one I like to see: 50% living with dogs.
Interesting.
That beats the cats, which is only at 33%. So this one I thought was pretty neat, which is what percentage are in their original home? And that's, so Gen Z, millennials, 74%. Of course, that makes pretty good sense. Gen X, 49%. Boomers, 34% of boomers are in their original house. That's a lot higher than I thought it would be.
Right.
But that's kind of awesome. I think it's really cool. Somebody gets a house and they're able to stay there. They're able to build that equity. I think I was talking with Danny. He was on the show. This was a couple months back, but I think we were discussing, the amount of people that have a certain percentage of equity in their home. I couldn't remember if it was own home outright or 50% equity. It was a lot of equity, whatever it was. And I think, maybe it's that trend that's contributing towards that. If you're in your original home and you've been there 50 years, you probably own it outright or darn close for a lot of these people.
So.
Yeah. This is the one I think got a kick out of Adam. The why people might sell. Don't want to be responsible for repairs or maintenance.
I love that one.
Yeah, I think maybe it's time to rent or buy a condo, right?
Right.
Yeah. That was 20% of people wanting to sell.
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen it. I've seen people, they buy a house and they're just like, with work, I don't have the time or whatnot. But there's also, I do think when you get to that boomer generation too, maybe they just don't want to be responsible for that anymore either.
Yep. That's
right.
Pain points. Why people are thinking of selling or home ownership pain points. Not knowing when things might break. 37%. It's a fear that people have, and I think we see that on the buying side of things as well quite a bit. That was really, as far as the home ownership numbers, that those are the ones that stood out to me. You guys have any that you before we move on to sellers? No,
Not really.
Okay, let's move on to the fun part. So, 64% of people that are out there, and I thought this would be a lot higher than it is, but in my experience, this feels right. 64% of sellers are looking to buy a home at the same time, right?
Right.
Which is, that's a good percentage, but a lot of people think, most people are doing that. They're selling and they're moving into something. We see a lot of people, and this goes back to the don't be in a rush. We talk
Right.
about this in the Home Buyer's Guide. Adam, you and I are writing the Home Seller's Guide right now, and I think a lot of people, they know, hey, maybe the spring market is the time of year to take advantage of high price points. So why not rent for 6 months?
Right.
And then go buy when the market drops.
Yeah, if you're willing to take on a logistical hassle, you'll be rewarded for it.
Right.
More than likely.
Right. It's like the stock market, right? Buy
That's
low,
right.
sell high.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and,
right.
well, and when we
But people typically do it on convenience, and that's fine
Right.
too. But
Yep.
you still want to be strategic about it
yeah, and
if you can have that luxury.
and depending, I mean, you are talking big dollars and cents for most people.
Mhm.
I mean, this convenience is costly because if you sell at the right time of year, you can pick up an extra 5, 8.
I would say 8 to
percent.
10%.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Wow.
the discrepancy. It's more than people acknowledge. It's more than people want to acknowledge or talk about.
Even agents don't like to talk about
They don't
it.
like to talk about it because if we talked about it, then people would say, well, why doesn't everybody sell in the spring? Well, you should,
Yeah,
except
exactly.
for the logistical problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then when you buy, if you time out your buy correctly, which honestly, if you're going to sell in the spring, maybe actually buying first is
Mhm.
really the smart logistical way to
If
do it.
you can-
Buy
if
in
you can do it.
December because
Yeah.
then you're picking up on that low side, which could be down 8 to 10%. So you're talking 20%.
Right.
That's a lot of money,
I
right?
think so
All right, we
many-
got to
Yep.
got to take a quick commercial
Okay.
break. We'll be right back. Once again, hit us up. Any questions? 651-303-0019.
Pizza's ready.
Pizza. All right, let's just check. Thanks for having your phone on vibrate there, Adam,
Mhm.
on the table. That's always
It
helpful.
wasn't on the table.
Well, I still heard it through the
This
mics.
is my chair.
Was that through the mic?
Well, I can hear it. My bionic hearing. You guys ready?
Ready.
Adam? Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651 303 0019. Again, 651 303 0019. Follow us on our Facebook page as well. Just type in Bricks Real Estate. If you have any questions, questions for us, you can hit us up on our Facebook page. Give us a call at that number. Any show topic ideas as well. We're always happy. You can email us at that. Email address you can reach us at is the support at brickstwincities.com. Anything you want us to hit up that is home or real estate related, happy to take a look at that. Today we are talking about the 2019 consumer trends for home ownership and sellers out there. So we were talking about the median number of years that somebody stays in a home, which is that 14-year mark, which is definitely longer than that we're experiencing here in the Twin Cities. I think part of that just has to do with where people are in the country. I'm sure that rural moving happens less often. I am making a little bit of a jump possibly on that one, but
Well, if you've got to move with like 30 cows, yeah, that's probably.
I'm thinking
I mean, it's going to take a while.
It's not easy to corral all them cows.
No.
Get them moving.
So, okay. Some of the things that
Oxen could be helpful, though.
to move the cows.
Yeah, and all your belongings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And a wagon, a covered wagon.
Must need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what people are willing to do, these are some interesting numbers regarding where people are putting their time and effort in improving before selling. And it says as well, the average seller, so 73% of sellers make at least one improvement before selling their home. That group, on average, does 2.7 improvements. The number one improvement is landscaping the yard. I agree with that. I think that's very smart too. I mean, depending on what the extent of landscaping is, but if we're talking about trimming back the bushes, putting fresh edging down, cleaning up the general look, laying down mulch, fixing the gardens that maybe have a few too many weeds in it, yeah, that's a really good idea because the whole showing experience starts when you when you get to the property. Now, here's where I think probably sellers are making this decision on their own before ever talking to an agent. And that's we're seeing 26% and then 25% are doing a bathroom improvement or kitchen improvements. And usually that will never go there unless it's absolutely, necessary to maximize that sale price, because kitchen and bath improvements are expensive, right?
Yeah.
Where
Depends on how you do it, obviously.
yeah,
You can be strategic about it.
but the next one is the repairing carpet or flooring. That's where I usually jump to as
That should be at the top of the list.
that should be number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, number one or number two. somewhere in there.
Landscaping, I agree with for sure. That should be way up there. Exterior painting, that's next on the list at 21%. That should be pretty high on the list as well.
Yeah.
Things that are
Well, even
there's certain
redecorate
Yep.
rooms. That should be up there.
way up there,
And it's
So
at the bottom.
It's the easy stuff. Staging. Think of landscaping as staging for the outside of your house.
Right.
Should always be done. Staging on the inside of the house should always be done. Simple cosmetic things like carpet and paint and flooring. Absolutely. You will always get your money back. I can't guarantee that. Don't come harassing me if you don't get it. But our experience across the board shows that these things are always a great return. But yeah, you're right. And this shows that people are not getting the advice that they should be from a real estate professional from a resale perspective. But of course, we know that kitchens and bathrooms are the things that are most important to buyers. And so you can see why they're doing it. They're doing it for their own usage, and or they're doing it because they think it's what one should be focusing on.
Well, and Adam, I'm going to
One quick thing that I wanted to point out, because I don't think we credited where these stats were coming from, right?
Well, we did
Right.
in the original show,
Okay.
but you're right, we didn't. We
Yep.
should.
So these stats are coming from a Zillow study, which they do every year, and this incorporates surveys of over 10,000 homeowners.
Yes.
So yeah, Zillow does quite a thorough job here, and we appreciate this information. Very in depth.
Yeah, and just type in if you want to see all these stats, because we're not touching on everyone. If you want to see all these stats, buyers, sellers, renters, new construction, it's all on there. Just type in Zillow 2019 Consumer Housing Trends, and you will find this all this information.
Great
It's
stuff.
great information out there. Okay, so I want to jump real quick. So you mentioned that people are doing these things because they either, one, aren't engaging an agent soon enough, or two, aren't getting appropriate advice from their agent.
Yep.
Which leads me, I'm going to kind of jump forward here to the number one stressors that sellers are experiencing, which I would lead directly to that. They're not engaging an agent early enough, or their agent isn't giving appropriate advice. Not knowing if a home would sell within their desired time frame. An agent should be pulling the stats of how long a home is expected to stay on the market and talking about where you should price it to be able to stick within that time frame. That's the number one. 56% of sellers. Yeah,
Wow.
that's huge. Not knowing if the home will sell for the desired price.
That's
My listings on average sell with it at 98% of what I say. 98% of the time will sell within the price range that I say it will. Right? So a good agent is going to know where it will sell. And you want to ask your agents these things. Well, how often does your home sell within the price range that you quote? It's a great question to ask. Yes.
Yep.
Making improvements to prepare for the sale. Boom, right back to
Yeah.
where we were with doing it in the wrong order,
Yeah.
right? So if you do have an agent that's in 52%, of course they're not doing it in the right order because they don't know, because they're not getting that advice.
Right.
Not knowing whether an offer would fall through. That's a really interesting one because we do hear that stressor a lot, right? Oh, am I good to keep looking? Am I good? Honestly, once I've cleared inspection, once in my career have I ever had something fall apart. Now I've seen it happen with other ones, but with my sales, once, right? It doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't happen all that often
Right.
once you get past inspection, and so
Well, and even inspection, I
setting
would
it-
say, what, 10% of the time, maybe?
Yeah, I think an agent setting appropriate expectations of how the process works and when you should start to feel confident moving forward with that next purchase or making your moving plans is something that an agent absolutely has to bring to the table.
Well, and this blows my mind because I mentioned that once. Once have I seen it, and it was due to a financing issue where it completely fell apart. And that was regarding offers, issues with money or mortgage or financing. Why an offer fell apart 21% of the time.
That's not good.
What the heck is their agent doing for them when I see a number like that?
Right.
Like, are they not back checking the loan officers? Are they not looking at the terms? Are they not seeing? Like, that's a huge percentage of the time that I think.
That's failure in my mind.
Yeah, and that's failure that should be identified up front.
Right.
Good agents are checking in, communicating with the loan officer, saying, hey, before I am going to have my sellers commit to an offer and a process and one that, has a lot at stake.
Right.
I want to know, what your opinion is of the likelihood that this is actually going to go through. Are these people solid? Are they on a fringe? Where are we at with this? And obviously there are things that can and can't be disclosed from a loan officer.
Right.
But how often does that conversation actually really happen? I bet it's not very often. It should happen all the time.
I've got a couple things I want to get to probably in our after show here since we're in the last minute of our terrestrial radio program. But I did want to hit on this point. Seller regrets. The number one regret is not starting this process sooner. Right?
Yep, that makes sense.
That's number one, not for.
Yep.
They wish they would have listed their home at a different price. I'm guessing
that
that's
could be lower, probably lower.
Probably lower.
Yep.
And then they wish they would have changed the price sooner.
Yep.
Right? So they because
waited too long.
Waited too long.
Lose the activity.
So what's the percentage you go down in sale price if you have to take your house off the market and relist?
That's so independent on different.
I would say if you lose an offer, it's probably $10,000 on average, though.
Yeah.
Major money.
Major money. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back again next week. Any questions? Give us a call. 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Take care and have a great week. Yeah, so actually,
Muffins ready?
Turkey's
which
done.
one? Two timers going here. I mean, that's an absolutely great question. There's two ways to look at this. One, what happens if you get an offer, which it was saying here, and we didn't really talk about this. Typically, the average home will receive 2 offers on it, and so why didn't it work? Let's say it was an inspection contingency thing. That so often people will get wrapped up, and it goes back to that jumping over pennies to save dollars. Or jumping over dollars to save pennies, right? So they'll sit there and they will have a water heater repair or something that is, that I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to spend this $500.
Right.
I hate to say it, but if you don't, it's probably going to cost you $10,000 because they're going to look at it, and a buyer is going to look at that, and they're going to say, this home failed inspection. That's the way they think about it.
That's their
right?
mentality.
They failed inspection. And it's going to cost them and dearly. Very, very rarely. Once in my career, have I pulled a house off, put it back on after inspection, and actually got more money than the previous offer.
It's very rare. It can happen, but it's rare.
Yeah, it's.
I know when I'm coaching my sellers, I'll tell them that loss of an offer, you're probably looking at $10,000. So let's think about that seriously.
Well, and you talk about
taking preemptive steps. Absolutely, that makes all the difference in the world. Getting things ready to go and taking care of the obvious things, and then obviously being honest and disclosing things.
Right.
If your fireplace doesn't work, how about you say that your fireplace doesn't work? So that when the inspection comes back and says, "Hey, the fireplace doesn't work," you can say, "Well, we did tell you that before you wrote your offer.
Yeah,
you were on notice."
Exactly.
Writing a good offer. Being honest,
Yeah, I mean, it's
good disclosures. Err on the side of over disclosure, in my opinion. That's not legal advice. That's my opinion.
Right.
My paraprofessional opinion.
Yes. You're a real estate professional.
I'm a real estate paraprofessional.
Your question was what happens if they have to take it off the market, put it back on. I don't know if you're referring to an offer or just changing agents or taking too much time. But I mean, at the end of the day, there is a tolerance of time to a certain extent of how long a home can be on the market. But eventually, you need to move it. I mean, if you're not getting an offer within 30 days, you're probably high,
Right.
because by then your agent should have been able to test every piece of marketing, and hopefully. I mean, I will say I've seen. I actually met with somebody the other day where I just looked at the marketing. I go, actually, your price is fine. It's just everything was terrible.
Right.
Was on the marketing.
There's a caveat to that. I think in general you're spot on all that. The one thing I'd like to add there is that the timing of the market can
time of year.
Yeah,
you could list
you
in
can
December.
you can do price drop, redo photos, reverse marketing, reverse prospecting. You can go through this whole list of things that one would do, change photo orders, and yet nothing happens, and that's because nobody's looking at it.
Yeah,
And when I say nobody, I mean, the attention is so far lessened from where it would be a short time into the future or a short time in the past, if you had hit the right window.
Right.
So you got to be a little cautious of doing things, making sweeping adjustments that fall on deaf ears.
Well, yeah. The example that I give, I did that.
It's great advice.
What was that Windowlist video I did about a year ago? And it was, if a price drops on a house and nobody is there to see it, did the price ever really drop?
That's hilarious.
Right? Right? It's just because you're right. I mean,
I love that. That's got to go in the seller book. I like
Let's
that
do
one.
that. Let's
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, did we talk about time? Was that even a thing? Time of year in our as we're.
No, we got to put it in
let's
there.
do that. I'm
Yeah.
going to make a note on that. But yeah, I mean, like I was talking with somebody and I said, let's go out there and put the house on the market at this price. But we're walking into December right now. This is not the time of year to be doing price slashing because all you're doing is setting yourself up to shoot yourself in the foot for the spring market.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to just keep doing those marketing adjustments, change the photos, change the, seasonal pictures, change the order, do cancel relists, but this is not the time to be slashing because, it's only going to be another month and a half, 2 months before things start picking up.
It's coming quick.
All right, well, that's all I got.
I wanted to hit on something really quick.
Yeah.
The what's improved piece, and this is pretty eye-opening, should be to everybody, but, it's kind of like going to a job interview. It's that first impression.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is kind of like landscaping or yard work. So when that person's coming to look at your house,
Yeah,
and they get out of that car, their first impression is to look at what they're going to see is landscaping or
Right.
painting or, if the gutters are cleaned, stuff that should be obvious to people that it blows my mind. Like, for example, my neighbor has their house for sale, and you got many trees growing out of the gutters. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
stuff
great.
Like this, and I'm thinking,
Gutters
oh
are
my
not
gosh.
planters, people.
Right, but I'm thinking, clean that up.
Adam, it's a green roof.
No, it makes all the difference in the world because you can tell from the street that somebody doesn't care. And that may not be
Right.
true, but that's perception and reality are exactly the same thing if it affects behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So if somebody thinks you don't care, your showing may not have even happened. When you come home and all your lights were left on and you would ask the agent to turn them off, all your lights were left on, everything looks like nobody came through the house, that's probably because nobody came through the house. They drove up, they opened the door, started stepping out, they saw the garbage blowing down the sidewalk because you didn't pick up the garbage that you saw in your neighbor's house because you thought that wasn't your responsibility. Guess what? The entire neighborhood is your responsibility when
Good
you're
point.
selling your house.
I like you said.
Everything in the buyer's experience is your responsibility to control as much as you can. You can't control everything, so you might as well control what you can.
Right.
And you can pick up that piece of garbage. You can mow your lawn. You can edge your sidewalk. You can shovel your walk. You can make sure the buyer isn't slipping on your freshly painted porch.
Right.
You can do these things so that somebody is feeling good as long as they possibly can. And think about that first contact, the minute they put their hand out and touch your door. Are they struggling with the lock? Is the lock from 1984? It looks terrible. None of the locks match. The keys aren't the same. The realtor's struggling, swearing, can't get your door open, fighting it. Think about this. You're selling security.
Right.
You're selling.
Well, the house is secure.
You're selling. Well, yeah, and if the lock is loose, and you're trying to make somebody feel good about this, and everything in that initial experience of going from the house or from the street to the house, the buyer is hyper aware.
Right.
And if anything shuts them down emotionally, you probably just lost your offer.
Yeah, Adam, how about
They talk
Very-
about
very
how
quickly.
your sale happens within the first 30 seconds of that buyer stepping into the house. This is why, because the people who are doing it right are controlling that experience. It started online. It started from the agent doing an awesome listing and getting great photography, and then those emotions are running high. The buyer already knew they wanted to buy their house. The reason they didn't buy your house is because you shut them down somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So keep those emotions high, get them into the house, keep it high as they're taking their shoes off. It's wintertime. Is it 55 in your house because you are trying to save money because your house is vacant? Does that feel very good? Not so much. Keep it warm. If you normally keep your house at 68, 70, make it 72, 73, exactly.
Yeah.
Make it feel warm on a cold day.
I've wanted to do a study. I don't know how, but how much money does every degree cost you?
yeah.
Right? Because we know it does. We know
Yep.
we know it does. We probably could take houses that are. Actually, I know how I could do it. I could just go tour a bunch of homes that are vacant in a neighborhood, take the price versus the ones that aren't, and see what they sell for.
Oh, it's
You know.
it's dramatic.
I'm
It's
sure
yeah.
huge. I
keeps those
always tell
stats.
my sellers when it's vacant, keep that temp up. It's worth the few $100 extra you might
To
spend.
get a few,
if you were
many
on the market
thousands
that
probably,
long,
yeah.
and most of the time you're not on the market that long. If you're on the market for 30 days and you kept your temperature a few degrees higher, I mean, what is that going to cost you?
Right.
$30,
Nothing to really worry
$40,
about.
and then the sale price difference, $15,000. Think
I think I'm
about
gonna
it.
keep the temp up.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, how about Adam? I love this one. The door that you struggle with. You're fighting it. You're fighting it. You're fighting it, and then you finally decide, what happens if I just push and it opens?
Oh yeah, that one's
Ooh.
good.
You're like, you can't get it. You can't get it, and it's
Yep.
the lock never worked.
Yeah.
Wasn't even functioning.
Yep, that's hilarious.
A little
Every
red
now
flag.
and then.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got anything else?
I don't think so.
Good. All right, Facebook. Have a great week. See you next week.
Thank you.